Well, good morning, Millennial Morticians. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of this incredible podcast. I know you could have chosen to be anywhere, but today you decided to be with us, and for that, I am grateful. First and foremost, if you or anyone of you know needs live streaming, reliable, simple, and effective, check out our sponsors of today's video, Faveo Memorial Live Streaming. Again, check them out, faveo.org. Well, guys, I'm excited to be with you all for another episode, another impactful week, and another week, hopefully, that transforms the way you think, the way you operate your business, the way that you're operating your mind. And I want to make sure that we are using our time effectively together and that we're making the impact that we need so we're better people in our industry and, most importantly, in the world. The title of today's episode is What Are You Willing to Risk? What are you willing to risk? I ask this question because if you've ever been in a casino or an environment where you're gambling or there's something on the table or there's odds that could be stacked against you, you think of one important thing. What am I risking? How much money am I putting on the line? How much time am I putting on the line? What's on the table for me? And I think a funeral service is the same way. It's a risky business. There's a lot of things that can go absolutely right and absolutely perfect. And there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And this is one industry, this is one business where we can't afford for anything to go wrong. Everything has to go right. Because, like I've said before, unlike a wedding, that's a one day event that you can redo. A funeral is a one day event that you cannot redo. It's one day and one day only. And you have one time to get it absolutely right. And so there's a lot of risk associated with that. So, how do we as professionals weigh our odds and how do we know what's worth a fight and what's not? Well, you have to use your context clues and get to really know your families and get a feel for the situation, for the dynamics of that family, for the aspects, the way that they're thinking. How's the grief affected them? How did the person pass on? So, yes, although we're in a business to help families and to help people get and overcome loss and grief and things of that nature, we also get faced with challenges of our own when dealing with these families. And we have to know what battles are worth fighting and what battles are worth letting go. I do believe that it's an unspoken rule as funeral directors, as embalmers, that we do the work in silence. And so if there's anything that could be troubling the family or that could cause headache or stress or more pain, harm, and grief, I believe we're dutifully responsible to mitigate those things for people, to allow them to be in a place where they can better heal emotionally and overcome this grief and these feelings. And even not just so much in grief, but in our own personal lives, there's a lot of things that we go through, a lot of things that we're trying to overcome, a lot of things that we're trying to be for a lot of different people. And sometimes the the hand that's in front of us doesn't match the risk that we're putting on the table. And like I said, risk can be a good and a bad thing. I'm not telling you all to go out there and just take all your chips off the table and no take any risk, because risk equals reward. But you have to know and be able to define what's a good risk assessment and what is a bad risk assessment. And that's something you have to do on your own. That's research, that's development, that's time. That's what I call sweat equity when you're going out and you're looking at these new business ventures, or maybe you're looking to buy out a firm and you're wanting to see the ins and outs of the business and what you're walking yourself into and what you could possibly be facing and or dealing with. You don't know. So you have to assess the risk and see if it's going to be worth the reward. The last thing that we need to do as professionals is to take on a risk that we're not willing to bear. And I feel like we're living in a day and an age and time where social media and life and Instagram and all these things try to cover up the risk and just show you the reward. And the reality of it is that everything has a form of risk. The question is, knowing said risk, what are you going to do as a professional to serve families to the best of your ability and in a way that allows for a space of peace and comfort in a world where there's so much going on around us from so many different angles. And how do you play off of that and create an environment where people can really heal and do the deep work that they need to do? Well, guys, I'm your host, Jaden Folks. This is the Millennial Mortician Podcast, a podcast that engraves, and I hope it engraved you this week. Really back at your life, look back at your funeral home, look back at the moments and the times, and really assess where your risks are and where your rewards can be. And I assure you, you're going to be really surprised about what you find and what you hear when you think about everything that could be and some things that maybe need to be released in this season. Well, guys, I love you. Stay safe, stay blessed. Hopefully, this was an episode that allowed you to think and really kind of reflect on the risks that are associated with what we do sometimes. All right, guys, be blessed. Catch you guys on the next episode. We're on the countdown to episode 100. If you guys have any special guests, if should I do a panel, if anyone wants to join the episode that day for a really, really special episode, and please contact me, and I look forward to that.